Welcome to the Media Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And Kenton, I've discovered a new way in which the big streaming services are undercutting Canadian media. This is pretty big, I think. So I've started watching a show called 911. Are you familiar with 911?
Is this like one of those rescue shows?
Yeah. Well, implied by the name, yes.
But
not Rescue 911, not William Shatner's Rescue.
But doesn't it have something else to the title?
No, it's just 911.
Chicago 911?
No, that's Chicago Fire.
oh, that's right.
There's a lot of different shows like this.
Okay, I'm glad we clarified that.
Thanks for
911 show. Okay.
911. What was the point? I was going to say, oh yes. So I've started watching this show as a favor, as part of a thing I'm doing with a TikTok friend. I have a friend who lives in England who loves the show and talks about it all the time. And I wanted to start doing more live events on TikTok and get to know that. So he's decided to do a weekly live every week where we talk about this show just for fun to see where the conversation goes. And the show is actually quite good. I would say I've only watched a couple episodes. I'm going in cold into the 8th season. Which is, you know what, honestly, it's a network show. It should be able to draw me in. Like, I should be able to just start watching a show. That's what network shows are designed to do. So we're going to watch the show. It airs Thursday nights on ABC, so it's on tonight. Episode 2 of season 8 is on tonight on ABC in the US. Unfortunately, it does not air in the UK. My friend has to go through other means to get the show there, unfortunately. But for us here in Canada, it airs on Global TV.
Yeah.
Which means that it's also streaming on the Global TV app or website after the fact.
How about on Prime? Is it because Global has a relationship?
Well, that's the same thing. Like they basically have like the
it's the in-app.
It's the in-app thing. Yeah. You go you download the Global app through Prime, and then it gives you the same thing. So there's that. So I'm like, okay, so then I'll go and I've got my plan. I'm going to watch it on Global the next day. As long as I watch it between, like we record Sundays, so as long as I watch it between Thursday and Sunday, I'd be able to watch it, no problem. So then I'm getting ready to watch the first episode, and I haven't not even downloaded the Global TV app yet on my Roku. I just was like kind of noodling around on the Roku, and I hit Disney Plus almost out of habit.
Yep.
Because it's like click and you're into it.
You're in.
And then as soon as Disney Plus pops up, I see this big banner that says 911 new episodes every Friday. And so on Disney Plus is undercutting Global. They've got the new episode the next day without commercials, so you can watch it on Global. They don't. So Global, they have it free for a couple of days on their website or app, and then it goes behind a paywall. Meaning you have to have a cable subscription to be able to watch it after that, which is completely stupid.
Even when you have a cable subscription, good luck figuring out how that all works. Enter your 700-digit client numbers and letters mixed together. Like
it's difficult, right?
There's not enough time in the day.
Unnecessary. So yeah, I just found that interesting. So I'm going to be watching 911 on Disney Plus. Forget Global. There's no point.
I'm going to be calling 911.
I was mildly disappointed that there's because you're probably thinking of 911 Lone Star, which is the spin-off.
Oh my God! How many shows are there?
There's 2 911 shows. That one stars Rob Lowe,
yes.
which I really kind of wanted to see. I like Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
I've been watching Parks and Rec, and he's actually a delight in Parks and Rec. I love that character he plays in that show.
You know, I've never watched Parks and Rec. I think I've seen a couple episodes.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's not, but although everybody tells me the first season is the worst one,
it is.
And then everything gets better after that. So it's like such a bad sales pitch to watch the show.
Well, just skip the first season. It's got Louis C.K. in it. That's all you need to know. Louis C.K. in the first season. Just skip it. Yeah,
he's a recurring.
Well, he was an actor at the time. He was a comedic actor trying to get work in Hollywood, and had a recurring role as a cop, ironically, in Parks and Recreation. So, yeah, skip the first season. You don't need it. Move on to season 2.
I want to see. I'm a completist, and if I'm going to start a show, I'm going to start at the beginning. But not if it's shitty, I'm just going to skip the whole show.
It's only like 6 episodes. It's like
is it?
Like they kind of modeled it after like the British season, because it was kind of like another Office. They did the same people who did the Office adaptation, right? The one for the US.
Yeah.
And so they went ahead and did Parks and Rec. It's a very similar show in tone and style. Anyway, it's so there are only 6 episodes, and they're not great. So yeah, you can just watch the second season. Anyway, all that to say, I don't remember what we were talking about.
911. You're watching 911. It. You're circumventing the Canadian authorities.
Sorry, Global. You're shit out of luck because Disney Plus has it.
Well, yeah. And while we're on the topic, one of the most irritating things about being a Canadian is Canada's Trump, Pierre Poilievre. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew you were going to go there.
No. It was a tax. I was like, what political joke can I make before I get to my point? But it is very difficult to find where TV shows are in a way that, like, we've all done the where can I watch blah 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 in Canada, and those search results are a pastiche of AI generated shitty news articles that make you scroll all the way to the bottom to then find and then click read more and everything else to then just find out check with your local provider or something.
Yeah.
It ends with, and you're just like, this is the word. But it's way harder than it needs to be. I find what I do is I now save them to a wish list, IMDb or wherever I have a wish list. And then when I have 5 minutes or something, then I'll search all the cable channels and see if it's there on demand. If it's not there, then I'll search when time permits. Once again, I'll check Netflix, no, not there. Then I'll check. And some of the stuff that's on Hulu is available in Canada on other channels, and some of it is not. So it's just very frustrating to figure out. And in the end, I just tell myself, well, look, like the City of God TV show, which I'm dying to see because I love that movie. It's on Max, only in the U.S., I guess. It's not in Canada. And so I check it once a week. I'm like, is it here? No. And then I'm just at the point where eventually it will be somewhere. I will show up, I'll find it, and I will watch it then. And if it's in 5 years, so be it. But I'd like to watch it now. But...
No kidding. The whole delay thing is ridiculous. My friend Cara was telling me they still have a 4-month delay in the UK for movies. Like any movie coming out here, it's coming out 4 months later in the UK. That's ridiculous.
It's always been bad for that.
That's so stupid. There's no reason. All these files are sent digitally. There's nobody shipping cans of film across the ocean here. Right? So that's kind of weird that they're still doing that. Let me ask you this. Do you have a voice search on your Apple TV? Do you have an Apple TV?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like a search for blah, blah, blah. And
yes.
You do that? Does that work?
Search YouTube for whatever. And it works. It works 90% of the time. But I started watching this. There's these two guys with a YouTube show called The Album Years. And they discuss 1985. And they go through the albums from 1985. And I just find it. I love their conversation and I want to see it more. For some reason, search YouTube, The Album Years is like the bridge too far. They cannot search that. It's weird.
It's because of the way it's phrased or something.
I try it again. I enunciate. I do everything. No, you got to type that one in. So it mostly works, but then the occasional weird thing just does not work. So yeah. Do you use it? Or
I don't have a voice on mine, but I find when I search through I want to do a general search through Roku, through the main thing, it doesn't show me everything. It doesn't show me stuff that's on Crave. It doesn't show me stuff that I'm not subscribed to all the time.
Yes.
So it's trying to do, they keep trying to do this, but I think that they can't get these apps to play nice with each other as far as letting them search or whatever. And so it's never, there's no one place to go search for everything. You do have to go into each app individually to be sure the thing you're looking for isn't there, right? It is frustrating.
Apple TV has the Apple TV app on it, and it's the app where you would watch Apple TV Plus if you have it. If you don't have it, you can still go there, and it tells you the last thing you watched on your apps and stuff. And I've been searching for stuff there, and once in a while, it'll grab something that I couldn't find elsewhere and tell me where I can get it. Like it'll say, oh, here it is on Tubi or something. And even if I don't have a subscription, it'll come up. And so that's been a little bit more useful, but there are still some and classic movies, forget it.
Yeah.
That's, oh God, it's hard to find that stuff.
Well, this will not really tie in. I'll come back to it later for my recommendation, but I had to sign up for Shudder this week. I'm doing my 31 Days of Horror this month, right? So I'm watching 31.
That's why you're being blocked on TikTok left and right. I'm like, what horrible pornography am I following? And I click it, and it's like you talking about some horror movie from 1980. Who cares?
Well, it blocks it. It does that content warning thing on TikTok just because of the frames. Like if there's a frame of even a gun or something like that, like anything from a movie could trigger that. Pun intended. Yeah, so I signed up for Shudder. But what I found out, the reason I had to do it is because I started the first week of the 31 Days of Horror is basically me catching up on everything that came out in the last year that I haven't seen. I tend to not watch horror movies other times of the year since I started doing this. And so, again, for example, one of the movies that came out was Longlegs. Have you heard of Longlegs?
I have.
Nicolas Cage, I believe, is in it. I don't really know much about it. I don't know what it's about. And
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're supposed to go in cold and really get the experience. But it's still freaking $25 as a rental. And I'm not paying that. That whole tier should be taken out. There's no way people are paying $25 for this. And so when I look up movies and I'm trying to search for horror movies 2024, I get the ones I had the new one with what's it called? With Professor X from the what's that guy's name? James McAvoy. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He's got a new horror movie out. That was like an adaptation of a European film about a guy a couple that goes to a house in Europe and they're terrorized by some guy or something by James McAvoy. Anyway, so that movie is available on streaming. It's weird because it's in the theaters still, but it's also streaming for $25. And there's some other third option. I can't remember what it was. But it's like nothing new is available except on Shudder. Shudder has, I signed up for it. I looked through some of the stuff first before I signed up I got a 7-day free trial, and I might extend it after that. But I think in the 7 days, I can probably watch all the new movies I need. But yeah, everything's there. Like, they're basically all the new horror movies, like independent horror movies, and there's some good stuff there. It's not all crap. It's all getting shoved into Shudder. And so that's what's happening with these streaming services because it's so niche, right? It's just horror. Nobody else. Horror movies are not appealing enough. There's not enough mass appeal to horror movies to make it, to have them be a big thing on other platforms. Like, they're just not. Just frustrating.
Remember Netflix used to organize stuff by genre?
Yeah.
More, but now it's sort of, it's different. It's organized differently now.
They have those weird categories.
Yeah, they're weird categories.
Just for laughs and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, it's
Just for You is my favorite one, and I look at it, I'm like, none of this is for me.
No. This is for my kids who are using my account.
Oh, that's worse. Yeah, yours is probably worse.
Yeah. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about today is the state of our podcast, Kenton.
The state of the podcast.
Yeah, our podcast.
Okay, yeah.
This podcast, Media Nerds.
Not podcasts in general.
Well, we could talk
maybe
about
a little
that too. But I'm sorry to tell you, Kenton, that our numbers are down.
I know they are. Of course they are.
You're not concerned?
No. I thought as much.
This is not a reason to panic. It would be a reason to panic for other media outlets.
Our income doesn't depend on
That's true. That's very true.
Like, this is a labor of love.
Yeah,
we get to meet once a week and have a discussion, but we don't do anything to market it. And actually, that podcast that I just said, I'm watching the album years. It's two guys, much like us, who know lots about music, who are talking through albums. And there's some albums where they go, I don't know anything about this one. And the other guy's like, neither do I. He's like, oh, I was hoping you know about this one. I'm like, no, I really don't. He's like, oh, we need to have someone on the show who knows about this. Like, okay, go on to the next one. And I just kind of enjoy listening to them talk.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the kind of podcast we have.
So it is, and I don't think there is anything wrong with the content itself, but we need to find our audience. We need to find more people to listen to us.
Yeah, but I think by definition, because I heard Mitch Joel, who does 6 Pixels of Separation, it's a marketing podcast in Canada. He was like going gangbusters there for years because he had no competition. There's nobody doing that. He was one of the only ones, and he was like celebrated for it. And even he's bitching and complaining on his podcast now about like, where did all the numbers go and how come? And I think it's just by virtue of when something's new, like podcasting, there's going to be more people. When there was a big bump when Serial came out, like but then it gets old again, and then people like stop engaging with it, and then there's more podcast. Anybody can have a podcast.
This is the problem. There is too much choice. That's the thing. There's not too much choice, but there's so much choice. Like, it's basically there's a million podcasts on any topic, and it's difficult to find things. Like, when it comes to searching for new podcasts, I don't really search for any new podcasts. I just whatever comes across my feed, and by that I mean mostly TikTok. I'll check it out. If I like the clip, I might go and subscribe to it. I've done that a few times where I've seen a clip and then I've actually gotten out of TikTok to go into my podcast app to subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's a couple times. But for the most part, I don't seek them out, right? And so I think it's common for a lot of people. They don't seek out podcasts, but they will listen to them when they're presented with a new or an interesting podcast. So I think we need to try and figure out a way to present our podcast to a potential audience. How could we do that?
To present to do live events?
Not live. Well, we could do live events. That's not what I was thinking about.
Are you asking for my ideas, or do you have an idea?
I have an idea, but I'm trying to get you to it.
Right, that's what I thought was happening. And that's when I said, live event.
And I said, no, I'm thinking about an advertisement, Kenton. I think we should start advertising our podcast.
Where do you believe that this would be appropriate?
On Spotify.
During other podcasts?
Yeah. Spotify. Spotify advertising.
Yeah.
We should create a 30-second ad, run it. It's the same as Facebook and all these other ones, self-serve options. You go in there. and you upload it, and it runs. And I think that should be our next.
Yeah,
step.
I think that'd be a good experiment anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and get to know the system anyway, and get to know it. Like I have an assignment later in the semester where I have the second year students make a Spotify ad. They don't have to actually post it, but I make them go through and pick their target audience and stuff. And I think it could be incredibly effective. Honestly, Spotify advertising is not used enough in this province. I can't tell you how many times I get an ad for somewhere in BC or Alberta because they're targeting the entire prairies.
Oh, sure.
That happens all the time. Or I get like an ad that's just poorly targeted and is silent because there's no voiceover in it. It's like a video. The one I love is that one for the it's the one for the drugs, the cannabis, good cannabis, bad cannabis, or whatever, where you have the gummy and the two different gummies. Have you seen those ads?
I don't think I have.
And on the bus benches and stuff. It's like
No, I have not.
This is good this is cannabis that is legal, and this is illegal and laced, or something like that. And it has like different versions, like a gummy or a joint or whatever. And it's basically about not buying black market cannabis. So they have a video version of this ad, but the video version of the ad is just text over an image. There's no voiceover. So when it comes up, and they have this video ad running on Spotify when I'm listening to music. So when it comes up, all I hear is a little bit of music, and I'm like, oh, this is part of my playlist. What is this? And I look at my phone, and it's like, oh, it's this ad. But it's like, if I did not look at my phone, that's completely a waste.
But that's the problem with these self-service ad platforms.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they promise something,
but they don't. There's not a person there to think of these things and to point that out to the person.
Right.
And they're happy to take your money regardless.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, so you can place anything there.
Okay.
Why don't we run our ad during the Joe Rogan podcast? That's got to be cheap. Just kidding.
I don't know if you can choose based on that. We can choose his audience. I think.
No, I don't think we could. I think it'd be too expensive.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's expensive based
fortune.
on that. It's just they charge you based on the views, I think, or something. There's probably different ways we can do it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've never bought an ad. Oh, you're talking about Spotify.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I've never bought an ad for anybody on Spotify, so that'd be a new experience. But I mean, I'm familiar with self-service platforms for sure, and some of them, like Google Ads now, has Performance Max, and that's crazy. Like the way you can do, you can basically buy ads across Google's services, but you need money to do it, of course. And it allows you to even do YouTube ads and everything else all at once. It's crazy.
Okay, well maybe that'll do. We can look at that as well.
Except Performance Max, you need a minimum budget, and it's thousands.
Oh, is it? Okay,
it's lots.
No, so that's not an option. That's interesting because that used to be an option for us, right? Google AdWords. I don't think we ever actually did it, but we could have done it. We could have actually used that back in the day.
I did it a bit. I used it a bit for myself, for my blog, my jobs blog, just for fun, just to see, and then ultimately for clients, of course.
Okay, so advertising is one thing. Now, what about social media marketing? As far as promoting a podcast, I will start this part of the conversation by saying that I think Facebook is dead to me. I shared a link to our podcast a few weeks ago, a couple episodes ago. I made a link. And it was the one where we talked about I thought this was going to get a reaction too, because we talked about my whole CanCon idea for advertising and talking about that. And so I put it on Facebook and said, I think we should do this CanCon thing. And like nothing, not a single view. Facebook quashed it because it has a link.
Right.
And so Facebook, because I posted a link there, there's no way, unless I pay for that post to be boosted, there's no way Facebook is going to share it with anybody in our audience.
No.
So I've deleted our Facebook page that we had. I didn't see the point to that.
There's no point.
I don't see the point in doing anything on Facebook, to be honest. I feel like that's just, for me, Facebook is like a phone book. It's like I'm there for people who want to find me and message me about stuff, but I never engage on Facebook as far as content. And it's been years since I've done that.
No, me neither. It's, that's true that the Facebook algorithm's quashing linked content, networked content, but likes it everything to be housed on its site. There's nothing new about that. X is basically useless now.
It is. Are you still on X?
I am, and I'm fighting the good fight, and every once in a while something gets a little traction, but now, well, Elon's made it now, so you can't block people anymore. Oh, what?
You can't block people on Twitter?
Nope.
What?
And, well, everybody would like to block. I've looked, and it's not possible, including Stephen Miller, Trump's former psychopath.
That's
horrible.
So
you can't block him.
That's just awful. And I'm so glad I'm not there on there.
I think Elon realized that he's the most blocked person on that platform. It has to be. It has to be.
It has to be, yes.
I was suspended.
I don't want them to block me.
I was suspended for 3 days for making an Elon Musk joke. That's not what they said I was suspended, but it was because that's what happened.
Yeah,
they made a joke about him. So they clearly have like feelers out there trying to find his name and then blocking you if they find it. Like, I'm sure it's an automated system. And the other problem is I was checking. Oh, Cheryl Hines has been in the news lately because she's married to RFK Jr. Okay, so here's one such example. So I don't follow her, and it's like, well, you know, she has terrible taste if that's who she's married to. But it turned out that RFK Jr. was having an affair with the journalist Olivia Nuzzi. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Let's go see what Cheryl Hines is saying about this. So I go over there, and she is not saying anything. So I'm like, oh, all the action must be in the comments, right?
Yeah.
So I click on her last post, and all of the top comments are verified people paying, right? And they are all lunatics. Who needs to pay to get traction on X? Lunatic.
Like, what do you mean by lunatics?
Like, your husband is a god for endorsing Trump. You know, things like that.
Oh, that's
like, but it looks like bots. Like, everything's verified now. You can verify a bot.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like 1,000 to the point where you don't even scroll to actually see what real people are. You're just like, this is pointless. So I give up. So one less reason to search stuff on X. So that's pointless.
So what about Instagram?
All Facebook, all Meta held properties I've kind of, for personal use, no, I'm not doing them. I saw you on Instagram.
I've been posting more on Instagram. So what I started doing on Instagram, and I decided this, I'm not going to do it for my 31 Days of Horror because people get complaining about my horror movies. They don't like the horror movies because they don't like horror movies. People do not like them, and I don't like watching them. It's too horrific. So I get complaints on Instagram.
You're just doing a review.
I know, but they don't like the imagery.
But can you just do the review without the imagery?
No, that's not a video, Kenton.
Are you creating fresh content for Instagram or using the same?
No, it's the same stuff from TikTok.
Right.
So so what I used to do is just post everything on TikTok. I started posting my movie review videos on Instagram just to see if they would get any traction.
Yeah.
They have not. The only people that comment, I have the same 3 people commenting on those videos on Instagram and on Facebook. So I'm not gaining an audience by posting there. But every time I post a TikTok, post a video like that to TikTok, I gain new followers and I get traction. Not every single one of those videos does well, but every once in a while I get one that just blows up and gets like tens of thousands of views, and we usually get a few followers out of that. So I feel like TikTok is still a very valid place where we could promote our podcast. Now, the key here is that we are now recording this podcast in a audio suite as an audio podcast. So when I do want to post a clip of it on TikTok, I have to use kind of a graphic of our logo, right? And I just put a graphic up, and you can see a little waveform, and it's moving. And the problem with that is that the TikTok algorithm does not like that. They want faces.
It doesn't like lots of things.
Well, yeah, but it wants human faces. I think more than anything, it wants human faces in the frame to show that it's a real person talking. So that's why when I posted clips of us when we were doing the video version of the podcast earlier this year, and I posted video clips, those would do much, much better than the clips of us just talking, right? So I would like to try and figure out a way to incorporate that. Maybe I should put like images to instead of using just a static logo, I could put like images to whatever we're talking about.
Maybe that could work, or we just have to create new content where we're each shooting ourselves. I'm shooting you on TikTok, you're shooting me on TikTok, and we crisscross or something.
Do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I watched a recent video.
Or do a duet.
We could do a duet.
Yes.
We could try to plan some interactive TikTok content around this podcast. Okay. I watched a video recently. It was A Day in the Life of John Green, who's an author, The Fault in Our Stars, and a few other books. And I really like him. I've been following him for years. And it was just like his friend following him around with a camera and all the things he does. And part of that day was him recording TikToks. And it was hilarious just to watch him like doing this TikTok thing over and over. And same kind of stuff we do.
Yeah.
Right? Just like take after take, just keeping doing it. But it's just great.
Except I only ever do one take.
I can tell you do one take.
Of course, yeah. Keeps it fresh. Keeps it authentic.
That's all right.
It's authentic.
Maybe one more for safety.
If your face isn't in the full frame or is off to the side, that's authentic. Authenticity. And by the way, it's true the TikTok reward, like the videos you're most embarrassed about, you're like, well, this one will go away. And it's like, no. That's the one that gets 1,000 views.
That's right.
The one that you love, that you think is going to be gangbusters that you spent all your time on, that one's going to sink like a rock.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how it knows that.
It knows. It totally knows.
Yeah, some kind of a secret part of its algorithm. Did the person put love into this TikTok? If so, it gets quashed.
The funnier I think it is, the more amazing I think it is, the more it sinks like a rock. The more that I think it sucks, the more I wish it would just go away because I don't want anyone to see it. The more it like blows up.
Well, and I took the to meaning the less effort I put in, the better they do.
That's right.
Because a lot of the ones that have done well for me have been the ones where I pull the movie out of the bin, random movie out of the bin, where it takes me 5 seconds to do that, and I just post it. Like there's nothing to that. And the trivia videos are also very easy to do, but those don't get great views anymore as far as like the rest of my videos. But yeah, like I don't want you just are reluctant to put a lot of time and effort into these because it might just flop, and you're just like, ugh, and you feel so shitty after it flops. Hey, it's just like, oh,
well, there's some TikTokers who do those they've got drones and they do like these fantastic, glorious shots from way up high, and it's like the media production is the point of them, and it's like I see that and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But that's not what most of what you see on there. Most of what you see on there is human behavior.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing that you want to show there.
Mm-hmm.
Wacky, crazy stuff, and not professionally shot. Like that, if anything, that's going to hurt you.
Yeah, I think
that's
so as
not
well.
your stock and trade. If that's not why people are following you, then it's not going to add anything to your numbers.
Yeah,
but numbers are only part of it, as we're saying with the podcast.
And again, I'm not worried about the numbers so much. I just want to try and find a new audience. I want to try and get. And I know there are people out there who will enjoy listening to this, right? Because it's just like a conversation with their friends, and that's why that people like listening to it. But I just like to try and find a way to get us in front of some more people,
some new and different people.
Yes, that's right. So we've got TikTok, we've got ads on Spotify. Maybe also ads on YouTube. I mean, I would the podcast is available on YouTube, so I would also want to maybe.
I actually think if we were to shoot this and post it on YouTube, I think that would be another story. I think it could do better. Like I watch lots of content like this on YouTube, and like even people just sitting in their car, like. I keep getting this one. I'm a 57-year-old unemployed man from England or whatever. And I'm like, and I watch them because it's just like, oh, this guy's life is so much worse than mine. I think I'll watch another one. But I think there's an appetite. You're right it's the people shooting the video. It's the topic might not even matter that much. It's the people. It's the personalities.
That's right.
That you're engaged with.
We've got good personalities.
I think we do. I think it would be fine. If we were to go on there and we're photogenic.
The other thing we used to do, and I think Twitter was a big part of this, is that we used to also promote it quite a bit to our students.
Yeah.
And we would tweet out, I used to tweet out the link every week as far as like the new episode's up, post about it. And so I think that people got used to seeing that. Certain people got used to seeing that in their feed and clicking on it. And so by stopping doing that, by stopping all those things, I've taken that option away from people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess. Okay. Well, let's start
we'll
doing
do that.
Things. Let's think about some concepts for an ad that maybe we can put together and produce, and then try and get some new listeners.
And I also think, in topic wise, like when we do Star Wars Nerds, when there's some Star Wars related content out there, it's like it takes care of itself in many ways. Because there's people actively looking for that stuff, especially the Acolyte, where it was more like everybody hates each other.
Yeah.
Which that's not the best. But I mean, when there's new content, then it's great. But when when Skeleton Crew comes out, then that's a whole other audience that we could reach out to, and that's looking for the hashtag or whatever else. And I noticed that some of the Star Wars YouTubers, they find something to do every single day, and the videos are between 8 minutes and maybe 12 minutes. Or something like that. And I think if we were to do something like that too, like every day is tough. But if we have 3 topics, each topic's 10 minutes, we do them all at once, and then we upload them to YouTube.
Like it's shorter segments, you mean?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Because there's that Star Wars Meg, and she doesn't show her face in the thing. She just has an intro. She's British, and she does voiceover and talks about like oh, if this is true, we're all in trouble, or whatever it is. And it's quick. It goes by really quick. And when I see it's only 8 minutes, I'm like, yeah, I got time for this. But when I see the hour and 20-minute, Rebel Force Radio podcast, I'm like, well, I enjoy those guys very much, but holy, like I gotta carve out some time. If I can't watch it on YouTube most of the time. I'm gonna have to listen to it on my phone. So there's that element too. I do think if we were on YouTube, that would present other opportunities. We for a while they were putting us on
Shaw TV.
Shaw TV.
Yeah, that was fun. We still have those on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, but the less said about those, the better.
Oh no, those are okay. Those
are they okay?
I don't know. I haven't gone back to watch them, but it was a fun experiment, and we learned a lot. I think.
But I think you don't need fancy production to do a YouTube channel properly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's think about that, because I think like this guy like John Heaton, he just sits down. He doesn't even, there's a mic sitting there and a laptop, and he walks into the frame and sits down. He's like, all right, let's talk about the Beatles albums or whatever.
I feel like he's doing more prep than he's letting on.
And he's running in. This is not a, he's just like, I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to go live.
Right.
And so he does it. But it's good. And I like it because he's an informed person talking about a subject I'm interested in, the Beatles, right?
Okay.
So I think yesterday was Supertramp's 50th anniversary of Crime of the Century. And I'm just like, yeah, I just like hearing the guy talk. I don't care about the production of it. So maybe there's something, I don't know, we just set up a camera.
Well, it's something we're looking into here at the college. I'm talking to our boss about getting cameras put into our studio.
Yeah,
I love the way Conan's studio is set up. Have you seen Conan O'Brien? His clips?
I have.
He does exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He takes shorter. He's got a longer podcast. It's an hour long or whatever, but he takes shorter 10 to 20 minute clips, and that's what I watch. I tend to watch those.
Me too.
On YouTube, and he's got it set up so he's got a camera. He's got an overall camera for the whole studio. He's got a camera on him. He's got one on his guests. He's got one on Sona and the other guy. And so there's a couple different cameras that they can switch between. And I don't know if they do that during the podcast or after the fact. I don't know how they're actually doing that. But yes, that's exactly what I would like us to do.
Yeah. That the simpler the better. It doesn't need to be super fancy.
Yeah.
I used to watch a show also where the guy had the switcher. The guy doing the show.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's always looking away, and he's like, and he's switching too much, or he pushes the wrong button.
Oh, you have to have another person to do that for you. You can't do it yourself.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The multitask kills the podcast because you're focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah. You're
like, oh, what did you say? There's a lot of that.
Okay.
But we should try something like that.
Okay, well, let's do it. We will do this stuff, I promise, before the next episode.
I was also going to say, how are we doing for time? Are we no, we're all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw somebody, I can't remember who it was now, a YouTuber, saying, people keep asking me, what camera do I use? And it's this. And they said what the camera is, and it's at Best Buy. I don't know. I saved it on my phone, but it's going to take me too long to find it during this. And I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, that's a good, I can't remember. It's $1,000 or something. It's a little more expensive than what you'd want. There's probably a cheaper version of that, but it's the classic. You can put it down and just point it in a direction. You can carry it around and shoot on the go. You can. It's a high def. And
but if we did it on Zoom, but we were in separate rooms,
potentially,
we did. We're in the same room here, but we do it like we do it in the summertime. But you go into a different
remote
suite. Well, both, and the Zoom provides the camera because it's on our laptop and the sound, right? We would hook up these microphones to it, so we would sound.
That's true. We could do that.
We could do that.
Yeah, we could do it.
Okay.
So maybe something like that. We'll just find a solution to that, and I think that would be good. Hey, maybe we get up and about too. If we get I'm going to look into these cameras.
Yeah.
Because the other thing was, I think this was a specific. It was the YouTube camera where you there's some functionality there that makes it easier to upload, etc. So you eliminate the need to do a lot of the extra things that you have to do if you piece it together, if you shoot it on your phone and then have to edit it.
Is this a webcam that hooks up to you can just kind of connect it to your computer? You don't have to look it up. You're going to look it
up. I will look it up. It's going to take me too long to find it.
Here's why. I've been looking into this as well. I want a good streaming camera because I want to learn more about streaming.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't want a DSLR does not work for streaming. A DSLR will shut off automatically after a certain amount of time.
Right.
So, and I don't want to do this stupid file transfer and everything. I just want it to be record into my computer So I need a good streaming camera for that, I believe. I don't think that...
when this podcast's over, I'll show you what this camera is.
All right.
Recommended.
How about I link it in the show notes for the audience?
Okay.
So that we'll
I
do
can
that.
even text it. I can text you the picture.
There we go.
Yeah.
And I will text it to you, audience.
And once again, this one was a little pricier than I think it needs to be.
There's always like different options, right? So there's probably a cheaper version of whatever it is, but it's always good to go with a more expensive. You get what you pay for.
Right. That's true.
Right. So
that's true. But you know what? This was already 6 months ago that I saw whoever this YouTuber was. I wish I could remember, but saying this, and then I looked it up and took the screenshot of it. But who knew? Like 6 months, everything could change. Like the technology continually marches on and gets better. So who knows? Like I think it might be worth just even going to Best Buy or wherever they have a bunch of them and just talking to the kid working there. If there's no kids working anywhere anymore. That's the problem. There used to be a kid working there to do all the cameras. Yeah,
one person at the front, and that's it. All right.
That kid's at home streaming. That's where that damn kid is.
Okay, let's wrap up with some recommendations. What do you have this week?
Oh, you put me on the spot. Do you have one ready?
I do.
Okay, you go first.
All right, I'm going to recommend Late Night with the Devil, which is a film I watched on Shudder last night. So this is I think it's an exclusive, Shudder exclusive, as many of these are. And I wish I could name this actor. You would recognize this actor who plays the late night host. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in The Dark Knight and in Twin Peaks, and he's a kind of a character actor with a face. Very recognizable face. But this is a movie about, it's kind of presented sort of like a found footage movie where it's like, it's the master tape from a live talk show or late night talk show broadcast from like 1977. Mm-hmm. And so this is a show in which the host, and they kind of set it up with a bit of backstory at the beginning. The host is kind of like, they make the reference to Johnny. So he's like never quite as good as Johnny Carson, but he's kind of like trying to make his way. And then he's like, had some bad ratings and he's going through a tough time. His wife dies. And so he's doing this Halloween show to try and bring back the ratings and have people tune in. And it's a live show. And so he has on all these kind of spooky related guests. And one of them is a girl who is being possessed by a demon. And so they have her like in the show, they have her like hypnotized so she could bring forth the demon. Mr. Wriggles, he's called in the show. And it's really well done. Like the whole thing is presented as a live to tape as they make these shows. And then during the commercial breaks, they cut away to like a black and white, and it's supposed to look like behind the scenes footage, I guess, like someone's following these people around with the camera. So you do get to see some of the action, some of the stuff that happens between, like during the commercial breaks. He goes off to talk, he has a cigarette, he talks to his producer, these things happen. But they always come back to the show. And the structure of the show really provides like a good structure for this movie to play out because you don't know what's going to happen. You know there's something supernatural about it. They have a guy who's like Kreskin at the beginning who kind of does an act, but then he actually gets a real supernatural signal that freaks him out. So they've got that. They've got a skeptic there. The guy who plays a skeptic is awesome. He's like sitting there going, no, that's just smoke and mirrors and da-da-da. He's like naysaying everything. And then they have this girl who's like possessed by like an exorcist style demon throughout the thing. So it's really, very entertaining. I really enjoyed it.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, Late Night with the Devil. It's available on Shudder.
Oh, wow. So a Shudder recommendation.
Yeah, I might have a few more of those before the end of the month.
You brought our podcast full circle, but now I still have to go with a recommendation. So I'll be quick. Like in recent weeks, I've recommended The Penguin. I've recommended, which continues. It's The Sopranos, and I'm enjoying it more. The more he's like Tony Soprano, the more I love it. I also recommended The English Teacher recently, which is on Disney Plus. Once again, and I said, it's like it's a racier Abbott Elementary for high school, which I'm quite enjoying. But this week, I'm gonna go to something that I was done with it. I had enough. I was like, it's run its course. I'm sick of it. I can't take it anymore. And it was Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and what's her name?
Selena Gomez.
Yes, and I said, what's her name on purpose because, oh my goodness, not a good actor. Oh, sorry, everybody. She's there
to bring in the young kids. That's the only reason.
I'm going to be honest. I saw her in concert with my nieces. Not a good performer either. Oh, no. But nonetheless, I was sort of done with this show, and I sort of thought it was spinning its wheels. I wasn't really interested in the story anymore. I was like, I get it. Like they have a podcast. It's about murders. Like I can't. Come on. This season is interesting because Martin Short they're giving Martin Short one zany thing to do per episode, pretty much. That's what it appears to be, because you could tell, because he's so funny. And so there's a Perfect Strangers parody that they did in one episode. And the last episode was done with handheld cameras, so it was kind of like a really interesting way to do it. And I was like, I'll be damned, I'm enjoying this show again. And it's on the back of Martin Short, who just brings so much charisma to the role. And he, in the most recent episode, he looks into the camera and says something, and it's so freaking funny. I got to watch. As long as Martin Short's on this, I think I have to watch it.
Interesting.
So Steve Martin's kind of the straight man of the two of them on the show. As I said, Selena Gomez, all right, she's not my favorite, but she brings 100 million Instagram subscribers with her. So God bless her. And there are some big celebrity cameos.
I heard, Meryl Streep is in there.
Yeah.
And
Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, that's a big celebrity.
He got shot in yesterday's episode, and he was like, they got me in my fat, he said, which I thought was a very funny line. Clearly an improv line.
That is one of my mom's favorite shows. That is the only reason she has her Disney Plus. No, is it Disney Plus? Only Murders? Yeah, it is Disney Plus.
Yeah, it
right?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason she has her Disney Plus subscription. And I've never watched it. I think maybe watched one episode, and I kind of was not into it. So I never really gave it a chance after that. Maybe I should come back to it.
Season 1's pretty good. Season 2, I think we're on season 4 now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, season 2 is rough. Rough going, not good. And season 3 also.
Well, maybe I won't watch it then, because I'm a completionist, and I have to watch every episode.
I know.
Every series.
We're right back where we started. But this new season, I got to give it props, because it's a show I thought I was done with, and they got me back.
There you go. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Media Nerds. I'm Dan Vadebonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the door hit you on the ass.